All right, so let me show you the next one here. If you go to the same place we are, machine learning, the next one is, of course, this is something Google added to Bard just like last week. They said they've improved Bard, and Bard can now write better code. And certainly, it writes code much better than it used to. So here, you can just ask it to solve coding questions. So I tell it to write Python code to count from 1 to 10 and run it. Now let me clean off some of these other tabs. So if I put that in Bard, I'm going to make a new chat to clear off the old stuff. Okay. All right, write Python code to count from 1 to 10. So here's the code, which looks pretty good. It defines a function called count to 10 and then calls it. It warns you to use code with caution. Bard is always adding more warnings. Then it explains how the code works, and now you can export the code, which is here. You can export to Collab. This is something extremely useful for teachers. I was very happy to find this. Collab is Google's free online Python environment, and it's very powerful, and we're going to use it a lot. So your students can run code and modify code, and they don't need to install anything or have any particular operating system. They could be using a cell phone or a Chromebook or something. So here's the code, and you can just click the run button to run it. And it automatically connects to a cloud server. It allocates you some memory and some storage, and it runs, and there it runs, counting from 1 to 10, and you can modify it. So this is really useful, and we're going to use it a lot. Now, however, the problem is, this is the fundamental problem in machine learning, it's all very stupid. It's called artificial intelligence, but it's not very intelligent. So once you've got, you can modify the code and run it. Okay, and there's a flag you can find here by modifying the code to match the image below. But now you can give it a more complicated question, like generate the first 10 prime numbers. So I'll get rid of Collab. Okay, and go back to Bard. All right, write Python code to generate the first 10 prime numbers, include only every other result, and multiply them together. And then display the original list of primes, the list with only every other number included, and the resulting product. So this is a sort of homework assignment you might have in any programming class.
Sam, in the prompt window here,
yeah,
is with your, so the first example that you gave where you told Bard to count from 1 to 10.
Yeah.
It looks like it didn't actually compute the code. It only gave you what its expected output would be. So
that's right.
Can't trust that output until you test it in like Collab or something, correct?
Yes, that's a very good point. When it tells you the output is going to be something, it doesn't really run it, not until you really run it. Yes. So here's some code, which it looks like what it's doing is it checks every number from 2. So this is a test for prime numbers where it's going to count every possible divisor from 2 up to the number. So it looks like it's going to work. It's not very efficient, but it's going to work. Okay. And so now, here it tells the first 10 prime numbers. Exactly. This is what you were just saying. Here it tells you the first 10 prime numbers. Here it tells you the list with every other one removed and the product. But if you run it in Collab, I think it's going to fail. At least it did when I tried it before. Although Google is constantly improving this product, perhaps it will be better. But here's the code. And when you run it, yours only has replit. Well, that's disturbing. Perhaps it has to do with your browser. I'm using Opera, which is a Chrome-compatible browser. It might be that if you're using, say, Edge or something, maybe you won't see the option. You might be able to use replit. You're using Chrome. Well, let me just take... anyway, here's... you may have to fix the code, and there's more challenges here where you have other code and you may have to fix it. This is enough to get you started. I'm going to stop this recording.